Hi, and welcome back to Craft Along with Jay. And if you're new, welcome. My name is Yetta, and I am just so happy that you could join me today. Today, I have three, for the most part, neutral Valentine's craft for you. First off, we're going to start with six of these little wood hearts from the Dollar Tree, and I am going to stain them with Waverly's Antique Wax. So I'm going to brush it on, and then I'm going to take a piece of paper towel, and then I'm going to wipe off the excess paint, wax, I should say. So that way it's not as dark. It kind of lightens it up some. And that's exactly the look we're going for. And I'm going to do that to all six of them. And these are the ones that come in a sheet with some red hearts and some pink glitter hearts and then some plain ones. So these are the plain ones that I'd taken off of this sheet of kind of sticker heart. They're wood, but they had that little dot on the back. That's a little sticker part. You know what I mean? Those are the ones I'm using. And then I got this tree that I got from the Dollar Tree. It was $5 before Christmas, but I got this after Christmas, so it was 50% off, so I paid $2.50 for it, which I thought was a steal because I think this tree is absolutely gorgeous. And I did choose white, even though the theme is neutral Valentine's Day. I wanted it to kind of blend in a little bit with winter as well, so I did white. So it goes with the transition with both from winter to Valentine's Day and so forth. And here, but I do want to distress it, so I'm taking the antique wax again, and I'm just going to go around the edges and then through the middle to give it a rustic look. And today I'm collaborating with my good friend Nikki over at Touch by Time with Nikki. I'm so sorry, Nikki. I just totally stumbled over your name. Um, we are getting together like once a month, and we're gonna do collab where we incorporate animals into our crafts. We both have a love for animals, and we really wanted to incorporate that into our DIYs. So I'm collaborating with her. So make sure you go down to my description box where you'll find a link to her channel and go check out her video as well. She is super talented. So here I'm just going to go ahead and glue my hearts onto my tree. I had them already positioned out before I start gluing them down so I know exactly where I want them. And then I have this red velvety kind of deer that I got from Dollar General for $1. That was before Christmas. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a coat of nutmeg brown. And I will cut that little loop off that's on his back where you can hang a ribbon through to hang it on the tree. I will cut that off just with some. Did I use much with? I think I used pliers to get those off actually, not my scissors. And I'm giving it a very good heavy coat of the nutmeg brown. And you'll see in a minute. It's kind of like funny. So the next day, or later on that day, I should say, I check on it to see if it's dry. And look at that. It's turning red again. It's totally soaking up my paint. It's not even brown. So I was messaging with Nikki. I'm like, hey, I got a problem with this deer. So she suggested that I use the baking soda, mix it with the paint, and see how that would work. And it gives it a different texture as well, which is kind of neat. But I loaded up on the baking soda, made it really thick. Um, but yeah, it stuck this time for sure. Lesson learned. So here I'm mixing it really well. And then I'm going to use a makeup sponge and I'm just going to go ahead and dab it onto my deer um, till it's completely covered. And this time I will let it sit overnight, even though this was several hours later and it was dry. But the paint was just, yeah, not what it should be. So I'm gonna go in with this mixture instead. And here I'm just dabbing it on, and I start on his back just to kind of see what it would look like, and with the texture. And then I go in and start from the top and then work my way down. And like I said, I'll leave this overnight to dry completely before I move on with my project. So here we are the next day. I have cut a piece of wood. It's like one of those, oh, I can't remember how many inches it is, but it's from the Dollar Tree, just a long piece like that. And I cut it to size to fit the base of my tree because I needed a little bit more room. And I'm just going to hot glue that into place like so. And then I'm going to use this reindeer moss. This is the only kind I can find in my Dollar Tree. I haven't been able to find Spanish moss lately, but reindeer moss I had plenty of, so that's what we're going to go with. But I kind of like that little bit of green nature moss in there. It looks really nice at the end. So here I glued my deer um, into place in front of the tree, and you can see you need a little bit more room. But we're going to cover this up with the reindeer moss, so you won't be able to tell it's there, or there's a little bit of a difference in the height of the two pieces of wood. So I'm just going to use some hot glue to add onto my wood, and then I'll add the moss. And I'm going to just do a little sections at a time just because the hot glue does kind of dry up really quickly. So you just got to get the moss in while it's still hot. And I'm going to go around that wood piece and also the white base of the tree, and then on the edges so it covers the whole thing and you won't be able to tell there's any wood in there at all. And here I'm working on the edges. And then I'll also give it a little bit of a haircut for the pieces that just looks unruly. Just neaten it up a little bit. Here, I'm just going around the edges right here. And this is what it looks like all finished. And I think it's absolutely super cute. This is it for this one. Pretty simple, um, very natural, neutral. Um, and I incorporated my deer, and I think it goes so well together. And I just love this piece. But let me know down in the comment section down below what you think about this one. All right, we'll move on to project number 2. So I got these 2 hearts from the Dollar Tree. I've had these in my stash for a little while now. And I'm going to paint them both with Waverly's chalk paint in white. Just one coat. And just the top part as well. Then I have this really pretty hummingbird napkin. I just love that it's just the white and that little blue. I picked this up at a bridal shower a few months back. There were napkins left over, and I got to take a few pieces home with me because I just fell in love with this. I just love hummingbirds, and I just love the pattern, the colors. So yeah, this was perfect for this project, I think. So I'm just gonna cut out a square right here. And then I'm gonna take, this is 2 ply, so I'm gonna take that back ply off. And once you cut it, it's easier to find where they separate a little bit on the side where you cut it. Um, just a little tip, because the other place around are really stuck together nice. It's hard to open them. So when you do where you cut, it's easier to find a little gap where you can separate them. And then I'm just going to position it. I want to make sure my hummingbird is in there. And then some of the other branches and flowers, they can go off the sides a little bit. I kind of like the look of this one. So funny thing, I got so excited to use this napkin on these hearts because I knew it was going to turn out so beautiful. And I'm ironing this thing on, like we normally do. And then I got to check the edges. And guess what? Yep, I forgot the Mod Podge. So, yep, let's put that to the side. Add the Mod Podge. Just a coat on each one of them. And then I need to make sure I set it to the side and let it dry completely before we try again. So this is a very important step to remember. You cannot leave this one out. There we go. We give it a nice good coat. Make sure you get all the way to the edges because you don't want it to lift. So here we try again. Position it the way I like it. And then I'll add some parchment paper, and then we'll iron it on. And this will do the trick. It's going to stick right now. So make sure you get to the edges. You don't want any left. So here I'm going to check to make sure that I didn't miss any spots. And I'll do the same thing to the other heart as well. Iron it on. And here I go in with my little sip sander, and I'm just going to go around the edge of my heart, and I'm going to sand off the excess napkin. And then I'm going to go in with some, this is antique Mod Podge. To seal it in, I'm going to give it a layer on top, just a very light layer, with my fan brush. I like this fan brush because it's when you just need to give it a light coat. I don't really have any problems with bubbling off my napkins when I use this fan brush. I just give it a light coat. So that's what I prefer to use. But it's all about preference, really. Then I'm going to go in with some antique wax, and I was going to paint the side of my hearts. So here I'll give it a good coat, and then I'll rub off the excess. But I end up just doing one because I changed my mind. But I still left it in because I wanted you to see, because I do go over the edge a little bit to kind of add some distressing to my hearts. But then, after I do this one, I changed my mind with the sides and the back, not the distressing, because I really wanted to distress. So when I go around here, I don't mind it going over the edge a little bit towards the front, because that kind of adds to the aging of it. And I just go ahead and wipe it, add a little bit, and then wipe it, and I do the same with the front. And then once I've done all that, yeah, then I'm doing the back as well, and add it and then wipe it off. And then I go over the front to give it some distressing as well. And I'm using a fan brush. Is that a fan brush? It's going so fast I can't even tell. I think it's a fan brush that I'm using to distress in the front. Yeah, it looks like it. And here I do the other one. So here you can see I just went in with my not antique wax, my Waverly's chalk paint in the color white. And I did the back and the sides of both the hearts. And I just love how this turned out. So I'm so happy that I changed it. So I'm just going over the antique wax that I had painted on earlier. And then I'm going to let it sit and dry. Then I'm going to go in with some antique wax, and I'm going to do a light distressing on the white part. And I just love how this turned out. Definitely a much better choice. But let me know what you think. Would you have changed it to the white, or would you have left it stained on the sides? So yeah, I do the same thing to the other one, and I go around the edges too. Just enough that you can see the distressing, but not overly done. And I do the back as well. So that's what they look like. And then I'm going to go in with some jute twine. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, my allergies have been acting up quite a bit lately. So I'm trying to figure out the position of my jute twine, and I want to make sure I'm not covering up the hummingbirds. So I'm just kind of figuring out the position before I actually commit to gluing it down. Here I decided to move it up a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and give it some glue in the back and then wrap it around at an angle. So you kind of crisscross and then I go through in the middle. So it's just 3 times. And then I'll add a dab of glue to the back. And then hold it down. And then I'll cut off the excess of the string. And then I go in with a little bit of dab of glue under the other pieces that go across just to help hold them in place. Just a little bit of security or extra security. And then I make a little shoestring bow that I'm going to add right to the middle where all the twine meets. Just a little dab of glue and add my bow. And then I'll trim the tails to the size that works for this project. And I'll do the same thing to the other heart, but I'll move the twine down a little bit towards the bottom so it's not messing up with the hummingbird on the top part. So they're going to be a little bit different. So I'm keep trimming so when I stand up the heart, it's not going to sit on top of the jute string or the jute twine. And here I work on the last one. I got a bow on here. Trim the tails. And you can see here I added the jute twine a little bit further down towards the bottom so it's not messing with my bird. That's what they look like. You can either display them on the side or you can have them standing up straight if you put some blocks in the back. But this is how I kind of like them. But I have the option of setting them up straight. But let me know what you think about these as well. Project number 3, I got this heart from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to paint that with Waverly's chalk paint and plaster. I'm going to add a little bit of water to it. I don't want it too thick. I want it to be more like a stain. And I apologize for the lighting here. I think it's the light from, there's a window right to the side, and I think the way the sun was coming in just kind of messed up with everything here. So please bear with me. It's going to go away here in a little bit. Then I gave it a coat of Mod Podge, and where the Mod Podge is wet, I'm going to add this doily that I got from Dollar General before Christmas. It came in a pack of 2, and I can't remember how much I paid for them, but probably no more than a few bucks. Here I did one side, and then I'm going to give it a nice good coat of Mod Podge on the other side of my heart. And then we'll fold over the doily and adhere that to the other side of the heart. Make sure you get all the way to the edges, like so. There we go, and I'm just making sure that I'm pressing it down really well, and I make sure I go all the way to the edge. And then I'm going to give it a nice good coat of Mod Podge on top to help kind of seal it in some more. And here again, you want to make sure you get up to the edge. Then I got this image on a piece of rice paper that I got from Decor napkin. And I'm not going to use the whole thing. I just kind of want to go around the bunnies. So I'm just going in with a little bit of water and a fine tip paintbrush. And I'm just going to make a water line and start ripping it. And I kind of like the fuzzy edge that it gives. It looks really nice on the project. And here I'm just going to start kind of tearing it where it's wet. So I worked this in sections because I didn't want it to dry on me before you get to it. So I just work in sections. And I'm just going to go around the image that I need to use. And then I'm making sure that I know where I need to position it and that it's the size I want. And the Mod Podge is still wet on the on the doily. So I'm just going to go ahead and press my image down really well. Making sure I get out to the edges. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut the excess doily and the paper that's sticking out on the sides of the wood heart. I'm just going to go ahead and cut that with my scissors. And I'm I'm trimming from the other side as well. This worked really well. I didn't have to go in with any other tools to um, cut it even closer to the wood heart. The scissors did the trick. And here I'm gonna go in with my clay molds from, is it Redesign Mold? I believe it is, with all the little bows on them. And I picked one that I wanted to use, and I already prepped it with some baking soda. And I'm gonna just kind of work my clay here, and then I'm gonna press that into the mold to the bow that I want to use. Gonna flatten it out a little bit, and then I'm gonna start adding that in there. And then I'm just gonna, with my finger, push the clay down, and whatever I get up that's left, that's excess clay, I'm gonna add it towards the bottom of the bow, like the tails that's hanging out at the bottom. I'll add that in there. I'm just making sure that it's not too thin and there's no breakage that I can see, just because these tails of the bow are so fragile because they're so thin. So I want to make sure the clay is nice and intact. And if I see something that looks like it may start to break a little bit, you can see little cracks in the clay. I'll just add a little bit more and then kind of smooth it out. And here I'm just going to loosen it up some all the way around. I've found out that when you do it like this, kind of loosen it up, it's easier when you flip it over to get it to release from the mold without, anything coming out in pieces. You want it all to come out in one size. See, I flip it over and then I'm just very gently rolling the clay out from the mold. And there we go. And then I'm going to let this sit overnight. And here I'm going to go in with my folk art acrylic paint. I think this was Glacier. And I'm just going to give this one coat. And I think this is such a pretty blue, especially for winter time. And I think it went really well with this image with my two little bunnies. So I'm just using a fine tip brush here as well, just to make sure I can get out into all the little grooves. And then I'm just going to use some, I think I just used some wood glue to the back of my bow and use my finger to smooth it out. And you can see one of my little tails broke on my bow. Even though it's been sitting overnight, it kind of still broke. So I'm smoothing it out and then adding it to my wood heart. I'm sorry if you could hear my dog chiming in here in the background. Every time he hears somebody out in the street, he's got to let me know, and it doesn't go quietly. So I apologize for that. So here I'm just piecing my bow back together. I'll add some of the wood glue and smooth it out with my finger again. And now that I pieced it together, you can't even tell there was a breakage. Then I got this pick that I got from Walmart um, sometime in December, and I just picked some leaves out of there and a little pine cone and added just to give it a little extra touch of nature. And I just love how this turned out as well. So let me know what you think about this one as well down in the comment section. I would love to know. So I tried to do a little different take on Valentine's Day, and I thought that was kind of fun. It's not your typical reds and pinks and stuff like that. So, but it has nature inspired and kind of on the neutral side, and I just love that. So let's take a final look at the three pieces that we made today. And don't forget to go check out Nikki's channel as well when you're done here. I can't wait to see what she made. She is so good. Anyway, if you made it all the way to the end of the video with me, I thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. And don't forget, help me out and subscribe, like, comment, and hype my video. It would really help my channel grow, and I appreciate it so much. Until next time.